Dial mainland 98.
Oga Police, no worry, I see you. You know you can do the right thing, right? You know you can do without that bribe. You know you don't even have to harass that young man because he is properly dressed. And you think pay is not good enough to take you home. That you are still wearing a uniform. That trends. As we continue to call on government to wake up to their responsibilities. We want the 98.3 FM. We implore you to do better. We love you and we support.
Studio time check. It's 4 minutes past the hour 4, and I want to especially welcome you to the Situation Live on mainland 98.3 FM. It's Tuesday edition, the first Tuesday in the month of November. The way this year had moved, the pace at which we've literally 25, even more than we that are using the calendar. Well, it's a lot to talk about, and we just continue to hope, and we continue to pray that things would get better for us as individuals. Year, new me. Oh, the things I don't want to do this year are the things I intend to achieve this year. Maybe towards the end of the month, on the show, we just have a regular day where we're not going to have guests, and then we'll have a conversation about appraising your plans for the year. Those things you intend, you plan, okay, by January or the first quarter of January, I want to achieve this. The second quarter, I know a lot of people will come out, oh, the economy has been disturbing, the economy has been bad, we're trying to survive, we're trying to feed. Well, in the midst of all of this chaos, people still build houses, people still buy new cars, and it's this time of the year where there's Owambe every single weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. People are still shutting down event centers. Well, today's Tuesday, the first for the month, and that can mean only one thing. Barrister Adams Atta joins me live in the studio. Barrister Adams Atta is as remember around this time, 2022. Where there was introduction of the new Naira notes, and then under the former administration of President Adams Atta is right now. But I was able to get him into the studio today, and I told him, I said, I will milk everything I can milk from you before I allow you leave on the show today. Well, my name is David, the president and the chief executive officer of the Digital Bridge Institute. Well, I'm a huge person when it comes to data, and I've always said it, there's no country that can survive without proper data. There's no country that can, deciding over, or the people you are legislating on their behalf, you should have an idea of one or two impediments. How many people do we have in this country that are maybe ex-convict that have been? What people do we have in this country? How many male, how many female, how many births do we record every day in this country? How many deaths do we record? These are based with all had to be the announcement that the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, and has been able to secure about a loan or a facility thousand that we're running on at the moment. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. That's about 125,000 kilometers. So it takes data down to the people. There's nothing like, oh, I'm traveling from Lagos to 𝐴𝐾𝐶 and I have to drop SIM A. Will be a thing of the past. Hopefully that project will see the light. That Bridge Institute, you can go online and check dbi.edu.ng. There are a lot of innovations, and to sink his teeth into the tax reform conversation. We just have it on the screen, paying attention to, and I saw how that could be exploited during the last End Bad Governance protest, and that is the continuous disturbing rising number, 13 million out of school children in this country, and it's a very vulnerable population that people with bad intentions can easily take advantage of. We saw it during the End Bad Governance protest. We saw kids that are probably like 10, 12, on the street of Kano looting and what would they fit? Things that are not even beneficial to you. You go sell those things. Have a population where the young people takes about 65 young people that's gone out. I mean, those people can easily be recruited. That's what we'll cover on the show. This like the
having me. It's good to be back.
Ideally, as a child in them, there's a lot of fraternity, dissent, but a lot has changed in the last few years. Most significant thing that had happened to you.
To say that I thank God for this year 2024, despite the fact that the system is, thank God that we can eat. We thank God for, because you can't do, despite that you are on earth to serve God. Better opportunity come 2025.
I wish you well. I mean, let's get straight up into the conversation. We're streaming this program on Mainland FM and watch us live. Face of the tax issue, of course, apart from Senate reconverging, because the governor of Oyo State, Governor ᴏᴜᴜ, brought the bill from the Senate for further be debated on the floor of the House. Let the Deputy Senate President may have to come on air on Friday. Make life difficult. And how did you take the reaction of everyone?
Yes, I think it's something that is long over. We cannot continue to operate. Then for him to have even taken this step and admit that the process needs to go through the process, the rigorous process to which a law is being passed. I know, I agree with you, and I need that the Mr. President needs to actively. I'm not that we are one nation. The character system of a state called United States, what we have in Nigeria, in the sense.
So
the federative state now with this tax system that we're now giving from it.
That is the summary of that.
So and that is why the income of what is coming from other. But holistically, we need
a lot.
Yes.
Almost everything.
Yes, a lot.
we're almost totally depending on what is coming from
the point I'm even making is that each of the region, they have a lot that the country can. What is coming from the south, and then a lot is coming from the.
I've watched quite a lot of position on these tax reforms. Some of the supporters of press. First off, is the timing. One of the things he kept that people can't release to support the findings. He talked about the fact that harmonizing the tax system, you are paying to the federal. A lot of people are putting on that. No, you cannot continue to tax people.
The proposed law, you agree with me that to an extent, you have to earn, your salary earning must exceed within the class of the minimum wage, that even exempted from the tax payment to an extent. So I literally do not agree with the Honorable Senator's position. It's beyond why the Northerners are crying, is beyond just the timing. It has other motive, because the Lord of Mr. President to say this is a time, the perfect time for us to do it, and we cannot continue with that.
And has been the issue of the breach of trust. There's free public transportation, or there is working, health service, data, or electricity, or security for myself. Is this also a factor to put into context?
The factor I want to government will survive on tax all over the world. Government is not a crime for government to go and borrow money, but it's when you are borrowing, we are not seeing the effects. Everybody has the right to complain. You are owing whether or not the government is not doing the needful, but to an extent, the benefits of this law that is coming on board is even continuing with this obsolete system that you are paying about 4 to 5 tax for one particular product, or you want to accede or concede to, you see somebody approaching you to pay, you can't even distinguish a federal tax or a state tax or a local government tax. You see somebody approach me in my office to pay all those things, but even Nigerians should be well educated as to tax law, as to the tax that they are supposed to pay, whether you are lay or big point. Nigerians were having this impression that their money. We have Part A of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, women and enterprises, and then we have Part C, which deals with MOCs and not money-making venture. So whether we like it or not, you're not in business, and
I kind of be taxed. And to humanity,
yes,
that seems to be showing otherwise. We're seeing, institutions being founded on conversation about these companies and allied matters.
They are to pay tax. Those and NGOs, by law, they are not to pay, to amend it to reflect what is on board right now. Then we'll continue because there is a lot.
See, I don't want to show, but it's okay. Plot against the norm, a basic That is the way our decision would have political consequences. Them backing down, it could be signed.
It could be in some of his views. You can't have it. It's not done nation, and then you want to benefit from the and then you want to benefit over a business that is done in a particular state. It's not
for self-independence in this Niger state belongs to Ogun State. However, what are these states doing with 28 local government? What are these states doing with? What are you generating as a state? What are you bringing? That this is an avenue for states to get creative. But a state like Bayelsa, they have about 92% dependent on federal allocation to survive. That means what they are generating cannot even, when Lagos is having just 22% dependent on federal account. But there are states that this. Don't you think it's time for governors to sit back and say, you know what? Let us get creative. Let us go into collaborations with other states. Do you think so?
Yes, I think so, because it's a matter of, you see that some other states in the north and some other states in Niger Delta, you see that they are affected by the outcome of what is it called, the oil and gas sector. It affects their water. It affects a lot of things around that environment. So you see that they cannot even farm. Their water are bad. So for those, they're exceptional. They're exempted to a certain class, because you see that the system does not give them room to farm, to do a lot of things. Is a different ball game from what is obtainable in the north and then the southwest, where those people can go to farm and then farm.
But there are security challenges also in the north.
So you see, you see a lot of factors that the government needs to put on board before you push the burden. The federal government needs to put on board. I agree with the tax reform, but before you can do that, and then because you are putting the burden back to the state governors, and then before you can do that, you also need to be aware that you need to create an enabling atmosphere for business to thrive in those areas. Because as a federating unit, the primary responsibility of you as Mr. President is to ensure that you protect life and property. You must. Is within the exclusive jurisdiction of the federal government. That's why you see the police, they don't report to the state governors. They report, there is a federal property. So for that, government needs to create an enabling atmosphere for business to thrive. Otherwise, if you like, put those laws on board. If the atmosphere is not conducive for those in those states, far north, that they are producing, what is it called? Agricultural produce. If they cannot go to farm, what do you expect them to give out? Nemo quod dat non habet. You can't give out what you don't have. What you don't have is a legal margin. So if I don't create an enabling atmosphere for you to grow, you cannot. If my presentation, you gave me the topic, flaws in this country. Like that. Now that he's not listening to some other people, are you sure that another president that will assume office tomorrow will not come and review that law? So we need to be careful and then listen and put enough consideration on board. I agree with the law, but beyond just agreeing with that law, Mr. President needs to create, if you want to say that, Kano State, because we all know that what comes from the north is farming. That's what they have. And that is what's basically feeding this country.
There is tremendous amount of gold in Zamfara. That's causing a lot of
beyond that, the production is, it has not been test run. That is just hearsay. Every other thing.
It's in public knowledge that there's gold in Bayelsa. There's gold in Zamfara.
There is one thing.
There are illegal miners in Zamfara that are making billions there.
Can it overreach what we call farming in the whole entire north today?
Sure not.
It cannot. So what we know for sure that come from the north now, as I'm speaking to you, is farming. So, and we all know that there is a lot of security challenges in that area. And that is what is affecting the whole federation right now. We have shortage of food items right now. Food price continue to skyrocket on a daily basis. And then you see that Nigerians are suffering. So we need to be careful because these people.
If these to be Bayelsa, to be southwest, to also get into it, make sure that the roads down south are clean and usable. It's not just to come in and dump the reforms on the people As a government, you must put down the policies that will make the far-reaching effect of these bills. All the people at the ends of our, and we're seeing the result of same. I hope that what my guests today have said will be looked into by the government, and know that beyond just bringing bills that will be signed into law, you must also provide enabling environment for the people to get used to that new, because whether you like it or not, more people will be taxed. The dragnet for tax will go wide. Fine, you may say the rich people will pay more, the low income earners will not pay until you get a certain state. But if the rich people are paying, if the big multinational companies are paying, on who would they get the monies from? It is the people that are selling items for.
Yes.
So if I'm a company that runs on maybe 10 million naira profit every month, and I know I'm paying about 10% of my profit, I will increase what I'm selling to you, so that I'll make the tax from you. So at the end of the day, the people will still be the ones to take the burden. And I really hope that the government will look into this one, because unfortunately, I've always said it, Nigerian consumers are set of the most abused in the world. Nigerian consumers are not protected whatsoever. So if the price of commodities go up, we don't have regulatory agencies that can say, hey, give a ceiling to this item, it must not go up. So the higher you tax the big multinational, also go up. So who feels it? Barrister Adams and I will be the one to still pay the brunt eventually. So even if you are not paying the tax directly, we are buying things in a more expensive way. I really hope that the government will look into this one. Thank you. So let's shift a bit. Let's talk about the issue of out-of-school children. Like I said, Barrister Adams, at the last embarked governance protest in August, I saw a lot of children that's got no business getting involved in those protests. Kids, man, whatever it is that people attached with the videos that we saw, those kids that were brought to court, it's basically, even if they said they were not the ones arrested, the fact that you could go to a place and pack those kind of kids to come and faint and come and cry in court shows that there are a lot of vulnerable kids out there that can be easily manipulated, that can easily be brainwashed, that can easily be manipulated into getting some of these things. We've seen kid soldiers everywhere. Talk to us about the gravity of this problem, and how quick do you think the government at the federal level needs to get into this one? How does school children, over 13 million of them in the country, Barrister Adams Atta?
Yes, it's a terrible situation that the education system in this part of the world is decaying, and governments have put law on board to see and to ensure that the rights of a child, if you look at basic education, and this right entails, this compulsory basic education entails primary school, nursery school, and secondary school. And you can even see that some states, they have taken steps to domesticate the Child Rights Acts, and then, in other words, is now otherwise known in those states as child rights laws of different states. But to an extent, it's not just having the law. Like I often say, we have enough law. It's even there in the Constitution that education is a primary responsibility of the government to ensure that basic educations are available for Nigerians. However, is now the enforcement that is part and parcel of the issues we have in this world. So if you are talking about the enforcement, you now beckon on the government, beckon on the family, the parents, to ensure that each child is given basic education, because it's a primary responsibility. That is what the Child Rights Act is saying. Section 15 or 17 thereabouts is saying that it is a responsibility of the parents to ensure that the child is given basic education. So whether we like it or not, it's not enough to be having children exceeding your strength,
the capacity to
your
take care
strength
of,
and your capacity. It is your primary responsibility. Who are you burning those children for? To shift the burden as a matter of inheritance or what? So it is your responsibility to ensure that until we start enforcing what is obtainable in some other parts of the world, particularly in the Middle East and some parts of Asia, wherein they will checkmate you and then profile you, and then to an extent see whether you qualify to have a particular numbers of children. That is when we are going to get it right in this part of the world.
Some years back, China had a policy of one child, one family. And if you look at how the population explosion in China grew from the late 90s, the late 80s into the early 90s, into the mid 90s, it was growing at a very explosive rate. And then the Chinese government felt like, you know what, we cannot have almost about 25% of the entire world population. We cannot cope. And then they brought in that policy. And for a few years, they regulated. And that's why you look at kids in China, you almost think they are cousins, or that set of twins, because they're almost growing at the same age. At age 5, you see all of them. They're already going into inventions. At age 12, age 15, some of the gadgets that we have, some of these tabs, some of these, touchlights, some of these smartwatches are things that equivalent of primary school children in Asia are actually coming up with, and we're buying them over here. But what do we do with our own population? We throw them to the streets. We turn them to beggars. We turn them to hawkers. We turn them into child laborers, and it's giving us a disturbing sequence. Now, let me read this number to you, and it may not exactly go the way you want it. Okay. The UNICEF has decried. The United Nations Children Fund has decried the increasing number of out-of-school children in Nigeria, saying it is now 18.3 million. This data was released in July. Yes, and this data was released in July. And it said it is noted that this alarming figure positions Nigeria as that with the highest number of out-of-school children in the entire world. Yes, Nigeria has the largest number of out-of-school children in the entire. See, you can argue from this other side that maybe it's more in one part of the country, and I don't want to do that. What do you think governments that has these numbers, if you look at the breakdown, having huge million threats that this situation is posed,
have failed to domestic setting the federal government, and then another thing is now treaties voice. Fairness is very monthly of the federation. Government is trying. We have series of NGOs making mention and needs to setting and intensify. Morally, they will be affected. Otherwise, there is this stigma on them. And then apart from that, there is this impression that I don't belong here. Whichever place they found themselves, I don't belong here. Inferiority complex. The fact that low income along the line, and then they will become a hardened criminals. A criminal is a criminal per se. So it has a lot of enigma, and then a disadvantage for a child to drop out at that stage. When they have a basic education, primary and secondary, if you just want to go and learn handwork, fine. At least you can read ABCD. From that point, you can cater for yourself, and then you can go for adult education after some time if you make money. But that primary school and secondary school education is basic. It's very, very compulsory, because it's a bedrock of every other subsequent education. It's not something you can avoid the polytechnic, you can avoid the university system and go to college of education. You have choice. Or
go to technical school.
You have choice, or you can even go and learn handwork. You have choice at that
but
level.
You should have that
but
basic.
Those basic, they are compulsory.
Barrister Adams, the 18.3 million children that are out of school, they didn't fall from the sky. People gave birth to them. And I remember there was a time where the removed Emir of Kano and now reinstated talked about the fact that there had to be some form of awareness and sensitization to the northerners, so that they would know that you cannot continue to give birth to children that you won't be able to take care of. If you study the Almajiri system very well, it's a system that has a lot of advantages on it, and also a lot of places where it can be done better. Don't let me say disadvantages, but don't you think the parent also needs to be involved in this? Barrister Adams, you have, as a man, they say that God gives children, God will provide for me to take care of them. So I'm almost at the lowest level of income earning, but of course I continue to reproduce. I married 5 wives, and this is not about religion, by the way. Don't get me wrong, this is not an attack on any religion. A lot of people that are not religious are marrying multiple wives, and you know that you cannot take care of these children, don't you think in all of this, the parents that are giving birth to those children should also have reasons to think twice about it?
Let me start by saying that even though you look at it from the religious angle, the sole religion that allow marriage more than one gave condition. Because one is that you must have been able to take care of them. What you get for wife A, you must get for wife B, wife C, and then D thereabouts. So it's not an excuse. Before you go on the jamboree of marrying series of women to your sexual satisfaction, you must know that you must have the condition precedent. So if you are on the frolic, if you take that step and you cannot cater for them, is left for you. As for the child, the law have said that it is your responsibility. You must cater for the child. And people should also start strictly adhering to family planning. That's what you're advocating for. Family planning, I agree with you, is very important. You cannot just continue to born like that. What is your purpose on earth? Is this just for you to be born? There's life after this place. So you need to work for your life after this place. It's not by the number of kids you have that gives you joy. There are numbers you feel 1, 2, 3 per se. 3 is okay. Some people even stop at 2 in this hard economy. So it's not by the number. Because they may end up being a liability to you, liability to the states, and a threat to the nation. So it's very terrible.
Let me give you these stats because we're due for our first break by 5 o'clock. And once we're back, the phone lines have been buzzing. I'm also reading. I'm seeing your messages on Facebook. We'll take them. In case you're just tuning in and you're wondering, what station is this? It is Mainland 98.3 FM. And this program is The Situation Room. It comes up on the airwaves every Monday to Friday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. 90 straight minutes of conversation around leadership, policies, about whatever situation that we're facing. Today, we'll focus on 2 major issues. One, the entire drama and reaction around the tax reforms bill that has passed the second reading on the floor of the National Assembly and the disturbing figures of 18.3 million out of school children that we have in Nigeria as we speak. Barrister Adams Atta is my guest live in the studio, and then we've been having this. But let me quickly break this down. This data was provided by UNICEF, and it says 1 out of every 3 children that are out of school in the world are Nigerians. 1 out of every 3 out of school children is in Nigeria. 10.2 million at the primary level and 8.1 million at the junior secondary level. Out of that 18.3 million, Barrister Adams, 12.4 million children never attended school. 5.9 million left school early. Nigerians out of school children population account for 15% of out of school children in the entire world. You understand what that means? That means 1 out of 3 out of school children in the world is in Nigeria. So 15% of the entire out of school children in the world are in Nigeria alone. 1 out of 3 children aged between 36 and 59 never had access to basic education. These figures are disturbing. Beyond some of the issues that you've brought up, Barrister Adams Atta, even the kids themselves, they'll probably sit down in front of TV if they have the chance to and see people that have been a bit privileged enough to have quality education. Where does that place the kid that knows that I want to go to school, but I cannot afford to do that? My parents cannot afford. What does that do to the mentality of such children?
Well, I've said it earlier. It will affect them emotionally, psychologically, and otherwise. It will affect them, and that is what will lead to serious, they will start thinking otherwise, and that is what will lead to criminality in the society. That's why we have, you can take example from what happened during the EndSARS protests or the recent End Bad Government protests. You see that people who are less than 18 years old, you can see them going to ransack and then destroy government property. You think they are just that is the fact that the foundation is defective. They are wrong. They don't have any plan for themselves, and that's why they are caught up in that web. It's not their fault, But however, the foundation is bad. It's because of the fact that they fail to get basic foundation. So there is no plan. There is no target. They don't even plan to be anything. If you go to the educational system now, the curriculum now, you see that at a point, the primary school or the secondary school will allow those kids to wear a particular uniform. You'll be seeing them, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. That is a kind of feeling, that is an orientation. And then you see by the time they get home, their parents will start calling them our doctor, our doctor. You see, when you have that mentality over time, that orientation over time, it grows in you. And then you see yourself in that field. And then that is how it all started. It does not start overnight. You can't just skyrocket from somewhere and then you feel that you are the owner of everything. You must have that foundation. If the foundation is defective, the failure rate is going to be 10 over 10. And that is what we're experiencing. I agree with all those figures there because it's something we are seeing. Forget the fact that we're in this part of the country. We are also seeing it, how people are begging. You see somebody on the street of Lagos on that bridge. You see somebody begging with 3 twins. How on earth? You see somebody begging with two, a boy and a girl. And then about 2 other of the person kid is somewhere around recycling, holding people around to.
So you have somebody having like 4 kids.
Yes, on the road. So how will you correlate that? Until I agree, in my recommendation, I'm going to ensure that government should start arresting people. Yes,
that's
when
extreme,
you see them,
man.
yes, you see them on the road, you arrest them. Yes, even do you know that begging is an offense? But people are so stubborn in this Lagos that you see them. On the other day, I saw a masquerade. Things is going bad otherwise. Masquerade at Yaba Market, begging people for money. They are destroying the institution.
I thought masquerades are gods. I thought
no, it has been abused.
I thought the institution, the gods always take care of themselves. So now the gods need humans to survive.
Yeah, so you see that people now come in different fold.
Well, I've been privileged to stay in the north for a couple of years, and I stayed in Kano for 2 years. And I'll tell you for a fact that when you get to some areas in that part of the world, and then you see how many children are truly out of school, you see these kids looking dirty, unkempt, haggard, looking for means to survive, then you should worry that we have about 18.3 million out of school children. We have 15% of the entire out of school children in the world. 1 out of 3 Nigerians. These numbers should disturb us. And in case you're listening to us and you say, oh, what am I saying? This thing does not concern me. Don't worry. I hope we don't go back to the time where we have suicide bombers. And I'm sure, remember those times, Barrister Adams, that are leading to the 2015 elections, where we had small kids, they'll tie bombs on them and tell them to go into the markets, tell them to go into place of worship, and go and detonate rather those bombs. It's a lot of problem. And I really hope that the government would start looking into this. It is beyond giving these stats and data. We're just trying to create some level of awareness that, hey, the federal government, the state government need to show commitment. We cannot have a population of about 230 million and almost 20 million of them are out of school. How do you even prepare them for the future? If we say that the leaders of tomorrow and that today is not guaranteed, then we should be worried. We'll take your calls when we come back from our first break. We'll also read your messages on Facebook, facebook.com/Mainland 98.3 FM. We're streaming even on YouTube. Just search for Mainland FM and drop your comment. 09136000410. Barrister Adams is still here. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the program. Stick with us.
Mainland 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial. 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial.
You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. The sound of Lagos.
started your day with a click. Devices in hand working swiftly. With every click comes a risk inside. And one day they all shut down. But the HMS is the answer. HMO for your devices. With your eCard, you get premium services. The HMS everywhere you go.
Get DHMS, the HMO for your devices from IT Service Desk Africa, the first subscription-based device health support service in Nigeria. Enjoy comprehensive IT and roaming support, data security, and maintenance of all your devices. Call 070-799-35788 or visit itservicedeskafrica.com to get started.
Chai, my head oh. Oga landlord, why you dey shake like ceiling fan? Eh? My village people don't come again oh. This one with your body hot so, you don't do test? Yes, see result oh. Oga landlord, no be your village people oh. Na malaria, you need Luta. Luta na better medicine wey dey knack down malaria. Oya see am, take am. Thank you Oga Luta. I don't dey kampe.
Luta, brand of Artemata and Lumefantrine, is another quality product from Hovid, marketed by Pharmatex Nigeria Limited. If symptoms persist after 3 days, see your doctor.
Everybody say thanks, Luther. Malaria's in big trouble.
Àti fún ìdíkòwò mẹ́fà tí mo ti ní, mo ní àǹfààní ẹyọ kan sí.
Ewu lẹ ń gbé ṣírò lè báyìí.
Mo ń ṣe òǹkà iye tí mo lè ní nínú ìdíkòwò bílíọ̀nù márùn-ún ni nítorí ABN Holdings ìtẹ́pẹpẹ ìdíkòwò fún àwọn tó jẹ́ onípín ìdíkòwò wọn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Èyí já sí pé àwọn tó ti ní ìpín wọn lọ́wọ́ báyìí ní àǹfààní láti ní ìpín kan sí lórí ìpín mẹ́fà tí wọ́n ti ní. Ní ìpín ọjọ́ ọ̀la pẹ̀lú ABN Holdings, ìpín ìdókòwò yìí. Ìdókòwò bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní ọjọ́ 4 oṣù kọkànlá di ọjọ́ 12 oṣù kejìlá ọdún 2024. Kàn sáwọn olùṣòwò ìpín ìdíkòwò rẹ tàbí ẹ̀ka ilé ìfowópamọ́ First Bank bákan náà ni o lè ra ìpín rẹ lórí First Mobile app rẹ. ABN Holdings ní ìpín nínú ọjọ́ ọ̀la.
Hey there! Yes, you! You just won 5,000 Naira cash! And you, sitting by the side, there's 1 month Showmax subscription to watch the Premier League waiting for you! You behind! Of course! You're not left out! How does 1,000 Naira airtime and 2,000 Naira Uber discount sound? All this could come true when you buy the No Unwrap and Win pack, open it, look for a cube with a 6-digit code on its wrapper, text the code to 8011 and follow the prompts to stand a chance to win any of these instant prizes. Promo valid from July till December. Terms and conditions apply. Get extra value on the No Unwrap and Win pack. No, eat for good.
You started your day with a click. Devices in hand working swiftly. With every click comes a risk inside. And one day they all shut down. But the HMS is the answer. HMO for your devices. With your eCard, you get premium services. The HMS everywhere you go.
Get DHMS, the HMO for your devices from IT Service Desk Africa, the first subscription-based device health support service in Nigeria. Enjoy comprehensive IT and roaming support, data security, and maintenance of all your devices. Call 070-799-35788 or visit itservicedeskafrica.com to get started.
For every 6 shares I hold, I get one more.
What are you doing?
I am counting the numbers I get from over 5 billion shares. FBN Holdings is giving existing shareholders the chance to buy more shares at 25 Naira each. This means that you can get one new one for every 6 you own. Don't miss out. Own a share of tomorrow with FBN Holdings rights issue. The offer opens from the 4th November to 12th December 2024. Visit your stockbroker or any First Bank branch to get started. You can also access the offer directly on your First Mobile Banking app. FBN Holdings. Own your share of tomorrow.
You started your day with a click. Devices in hand working swiftly. With every click comes a risk inside. And one day they all shut down. But the HMS is the answer. HMO for your devices. With your eCard, you get premium services. The HMS everywhere you go.
DHMS, the HM move for your devices from IT Service Desk Africa, the first subscription-based device health support service in Nigeria. Enjoy comprehensive IT and roaming support, data security, and maintenance of all your devices. Call 070-799-35788 or visit itservicedeskafrica.com to get started.
Chai, my head oh. Oga landlord, why you dey shake like ceiling fan? My village people don't come again oh. This one with your body hot so, you don't do test? Yes, see result oh. Oga landlord, no be your village people oh. Na malaria, you need Luta. Luta na I don't dey can't pay.
Luta, brand of Artemata and Lumefantrine, is another quality product from Hovid, marketed by Pharmatech.
You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. The sound of Lagos.
Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there is not. If there were,
in our quest to bring to the table issue-based conversation around nationhood and development, we have made 4 to 5:30 p.m. Monday to Friday the perfect time to welcome you into the Situation Room as we continue to build the narrative about public service and accountability.
Mr. President, this Senate needs to know. Mr. President, this Senate needs to lend its voice to the plight of these people. Mr. President, there is nowhere I can say it except here. This is why I'm elected. If I cannot say these things on this floor, sir, I better resign and leave.
As elections give the citizens the chance to make their political decisions, constant demand for quality leadership from those they voted into office.
Look at us now, there is nothing, we are starving. Tinubu should please do something.
It's also important to having a Nigeria of everyone's dream. Join 𝐴괭̀pẹ̀yẹmí Akínyẹ̀dé as it takes to task seasoned analysts, opinion makers, business professionals, and politicians on issues around politics, policies, governance, and leadership every Monday to Friday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. on your super dial, Mainland 98.3 FM. We'll welcome you, roommates, as we discuss the situations.
Welcome back. You're live on Mainland 98.3 FM, and we're now on the home stretch. But don't forget that by 5:30, we'll have the news, and by 6 o'clock, I would come back with my entire sport crew to take you through the world of sports. Big games, will be decided this week, today, tomorrow. Some of the major leagues across Europe. We'll also take you through games yesterday. Atalanta one away from home at AS Roma, 2-0. Of course, Sevilla also did themselves a world of good in some, Monday night football in other major leagues in Europe. We'll talk about all of that also. Earlier today, around 12:15 on Sport Jams, we had the representative of the male and female, Nigerian national rugby team join us on the show. We'll also talk about all of that and how we can further develop more sports in Nigeria. A friend of mine was telling me when he saw this picture on my status that do we play rugby in Nigeria? Yes, we do. We have about 30 associations in Lagos, in Nigeria, representing different sports from rugby to cricket to taekwondo. So it's not just, football and athletics that we do in this country. We'll talk about all of that by 6 o'clock. So let's get back into it. Barrister Adams Atan being my guest on the show today. And I will look at two major situations. We started off with the tax reform bill, the entire drama surrounding it, and believe me, my guest had brought in a different dimension into the conversation. Barrister Adams Atan says the government would need to provide enabling environment before you can bring those bills. If you are pumping in the pressure back to the state, to the citizens, you have to make sure that there are conducive environment for them to farm in states that are agro-based. There are, proper channel of transportation for states that are into production as well. So nobody's saying the tax reforms is not good, but you have to make sure that you provide enabling environment so that the effect that the removal of subsidies is having on Nigerians more tax will not compound some of these challenges. We also talked about some disturbing stats in respect to the number of out-of-school children that we have. 18.3 million. 1 out of every 3 out-of-school child in the world is a Nigerian. That's disturbing. 15% of the out-of-school children globally is in Nigeria. These are numbers that should scare us. And this is not just something we can wave off and say, oh, it's a northern problem, it's a this problem. The effects will be devastating if this thing is not arrested as quick as possible. So let me allow you to join the conversation. Barrister Adam is still here. If there are questions you're asking, he would certainly respond to 0913-600-0410. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Mainland FM.
Good evening, Ogbeyemi.
Good to have you join us on the show.
I greet your guest.
You're welcome.
Well, I agree with your guest that one of the problems we have in the country is the government not making provisions before bringing some of the reforms. This is the problem the president, this is one of the mistakes that the government keep on doing every time. Because before you enforce any reform, there ought to be some provision, some level of provisions in terms of security, in terms of awareness, in terms of every other thing that will make that bill to come to reality. So I, as a person, I have also observed that the Nigerian government is always fond of this. They fail to make provision and then bring out their own action, or they just feel they have to present it, but to know that before such should be carried on, they are supposed to be some provisions, some level of provision. That is in that very one. The issue of out-of-school children is also a problem to the country because some group of people still believe that the Western education ought to be eradicated. Are you with me?
Well, with you, please wrap up your thoughts.
Yes. Some people don't believe that the Western education is for our own good. They believe that it is not a kind of education that we're supposed to have. So they kick against this, and I believe some group of people in the North also don't appreciate Western education. That is why they don't care if their children go to school or not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, let's try and make our contribution as brief as possible so that we don't have to cut you off when you're not done. Please, just 1 minute, straight to the point. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. This is Badamasi from Sɪᴛᴜᴜ.
Good to have you join us. Let's do this quick.
Yes, Mr. Atta has done a very good job on this matter.
Yes, thank you, sir.
What I'm thinking is that they should put money in the pockets of the Northerners to be able to buy things so that they can get VAT from them, because I think they are passing this VAT to the consumers. Yes, I think they should put money in the hands of the Northerners to be able to buy things. And I don't think the money is there to put into their hands, because only ⴟᴜᴜᴜᴜ. So they must do something to be able to buy something so that we can take VAT from them. And concerning the out-of-school children, it should be a very radical something. You see, if they want, like what the other last caller said about they don't like Western education. Actually, this Western education is also in the Arab land. And they can borrow from, if they want to use Arabic, let them use Arabic. We want a radical, I want a revolution to turn around and make them go to school. You see, they can go to school if they see like Lebanon now, or Syria, or they can copy Egypt, or copy Morocco, copy, these people they are advanced and they are civilized. and they go to school.
Thank you.
So they should go to school too.
Thank you very much. 0913-600-0410. It is the Situation Room, live on Mainland 98.3 FM. Hello, good evening.
Ajibola calling from Nicola.
Good to have you join us. 1 minute.
You said something very, very spectacular that I love. There is no right protection, the customer rights protection in this Nigeria. True. No standard organization that is regulating anything. So it will be very risky to push this tax reform in this kind of scenario, because everything is pushing back on the same masses. There's no way you will increase the tax for like Coca-Cola, for instance. It will be the consumer that will pay that excess on the tax again. And you are telling me that the people that are earning low will not partake of it. That is a big lie, because everything is falling back to the people that are earning low. I don't have a company, but I will pay for what the company will produce.
Sure, because we will buy it.
Because they buy it, and we will be the one that will serve those tax that they will be serving the company. So it will be ridiculous to accept these things, and that is what are clamoring.
Okay.
Beer that people are saying. It is not about the beer or the alcohol. It's about this sense of, okay, who is going to pay back these things? It is simply the masses. And they're already impoverished in that area before.
Thank you.
So putting this kind of thing, they will be more impoverished. That is what they are clamoring for. So nobody should bring an ethnic coloration to this thing. It is disturbing. When people put an ethnic coloration to it, I find it.
But again, it's disturbing more that even the people themselves are already bringing in the ethnic coloration and whipping the sentiment. A lot of leaders from the north are already coming out to say that this is a south versus north agenda, and I mean it is disturbing. It is really disturbing. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is Olaiwola.
Good to have you join us. 1 minute.
Yeah. The reason my own contribution, if it is a northerner are agitating for a VAT, and they are not creating infrastructure to even generating a VAT within the north, because I grew up in Benue State. As I grew up in Benue State in Otupu local government, it's only Otupu Township that we are seeing this band that they are generating VAT. The section of Ugbo you did not have VAT. The whole Adoka did not have a VAT. And these two areas that I'm talking about is the big town on their own, and they didn't have a VAT. How did they going to get a VAT? Because they are not creating that infrastructure and educating their people to be having a banking system. How they can go to go in. But if the government say that they will take it, let them go back again and creating those awareness and allocating the land to those people to come to their system, and to also let the people have a banking system. So they will collecting a VAT. That is only what I can see. But the whole north, they didn't have that mentality of development. That is the problem they have.
Thank you very much. I mean, I kind of know that this conversation will raise a lot of, opinion. But let me quickly read some of the messages that we have on Facebook. Whoa. This is a lot, man. We Nigerians talk too much, and I think it's important for us to know that Nigerian democracy does not only give right to vote, it also gives the right to stand as candidate during the various elections. And since we feel that the current politicians are bad, what about replacing them? We're losing our moral clarity to criticize the government if we don't compete in the election. Thank you very much, Kolawole Kazim. I also go on, okay. I said Nigerian elite are selfish and they are only against the part of this tax bill that affects them. Have you heard them criticizing the bill because it will see VAT go up by more than 100%, and it is the ordinary people that will be affected, but they choose to criticize the revenue derivatives part because it will reduce their own income. The fact of the matter is Nigerian people need to be careful and stop giving blank support to their leaders. We need to check out critically if the politicians are actually fighting on things that will benefit us or things that will only benefit them. Okay, Festus Ologun says tax reforms should be suspended for now until we're able to reform our electoral laws to the point that no form of judicial rascality, technicality, personality, and manipulation can scuffle it. Unlike what happened in 2023, when we had leaders who are less concerned about our plight, ranging from agitations for bad governance, tribalism, nepotism, and a whole lot. Wealth and natural resources. Okay, this is a long one. He said, tax or no tax reforms, we can leave it for later. Let our natural resources work for us. Wow, interesting contribution there. 0913-600-0410. Let's take two more messages, then we'll go back to the phone lines. You said it is always, this is coming from Benjamin, and he says, it is always heartbreaking when one think of out-of-school children in our society, but to the politicians who are ruling us, it is nothing to them. They fail to understand that the out-of-school children of today can be made use of by the terrorists tomorrow. By then, the elite amount we need to educate them would cost country billions to contain them. Then it will be too late. Our leaders should try to make education free from primary to secondary level. It is possible. That is Benjamin from Benjamin Ise. That's Benjamin from Shogunle. Yes. Atonda Kayode says the hard truth is that the current status of the northern region is from the past leadership, and leaders don't have any holistic project or program that would enhance growth and development. Okay, back to the phone lines. Hello, good evening.
Oh, good evening.
You're welcome, Mr. Gege Joshua.
Yeah, Gege Joshua. Me personally, I will not lie. I don't like paying tax. So the government, because of the situation of the country,
you don't like paying tax, but you pay it.
I'm telling you, 100%. I'm telling you.
But you pay it.
Just me. This is it. Only the poor, only the poor pay more. You know, out of your maybe 1,000 naira, they are deducting close to 30% from your salary. You know, that is really extortion. We have natural resources in this country. We don't, as of now, I have not heard that we have a good refinery anywhere in the north. You understand? We will just take this raw material and export them. How about the final finishing, the final touch? You know, this clear government, we have so many things you can do to make money. We will export them to Europe. That particular goods that we used to sell here, they will take it to Dubai. They call them Nasarawa gold. This one gold, Kaduna gold, like that. Very expensive in Dubai. And they will now, after processing it, after designing the rest, they back to us. We'll be buying it. You see all this our buying it with big money. You don't need to tax the people and kill them with tax.
Thank you.
Look for a way to make sure that we capitalize on whatever we have as natural resources in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. 0913-600-0410. Let me see if I can pick this call. I will take some of your messages. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Okoyemi.
You're welcome.
Here from Majidi. Thank you very much. My friend Gege Joshua just thought that the poor pay more than the rich in taxes. That is not true. That is not true. In fact, if you look at it, majority of taxes are paid by the rich. But that is besides the real discussion. There are 4 bills at the National Assembly as of today. Only one is generating problems.
This much problem.
Yes, and which means that the work they have done on those bills are fantastic work. Now, the issue basically is the VAT issue and the restructuring of it compared to population, derivation, and attrition. Now, we understand that the North does a lot of production in terms of agric and all of that. But unfortunately, consumption tax is VAT. And anything that has to do with agricultural products, you don't pay VAT on it. So I can understand their grounds in that instance. However, maybe to just probably allow for some agreements and to be fair, maybe the best way to do that, to pacify everybody across board, is to reduce the amount from probably 60% for derivation to about 40%. I think that would be a bit fairer across board. But more importantly, governors need to start putting on their thinking cap to understand that they need to think and work towards a future where FAC will mean nothing to them. For our education, quickly, I feel the state government and the local government needs to do more, because primary and secondary school education is under them, not for federal. Federal handles tertiary. And if you look at UBEC, you find out that even states have so much money there, they are not going there to connect.
Course.
Does that tell us a story that they are not really willing to develop education? Because how bad would it be that you have to do a 50% contribution and 50% is given to you free? How difficult is that? Because I could remember that as far back as 2011, the governors were working towards repealing that part of the law where you have to pay half and the debt carries half.
Mr. Lakole, I'll need to let you go now.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
I'm sure this is a conversation we'll have to keep up. And, you know, maybe in the next couple of days, we'll have more to talk about on it. Barrister Adams Atta, a lot have been said on the show today. And a lot of people seem to agree with you, especially on the need for the government to first off lay a proper foundation so that people would have some level of shock absorber, let me use that word, to absorb whatever this new reform bill, tax reform is coming up with. What a session we've had.
Yes, it's a lovely session today, and we thank God for the session.
Okay, thank you very much, Barrister Adams Atta, for stopping and joining me on the show today. I know how difficult your schedule has been lately, and I had to really drag you out because I had the feeling that you were able to do justice to everything we decided to talk about on the show today. And the messages that we have stated confirmed what I felt. Christian Walem on Facebook says, I've traveled to many states in the north and the condition of out-of-school children is pitiable. I wonder why the northern governors are not addressing these issues. This is why they are ready tools in the hands of politicians. The earlier this plight is addressed, the better for the country. I decided to bring up the issue of the out-of-school children because I think it was over the weekend. I was just reading stuff and I saw that disturbing stats from UNICEF. 18.3 million out-of-school children in Nigeria. That's disturbing. 15% of the entire out-of-school children globally are in Nigeria. It is disturbing. 1 out of 3 out-of-school children in the world are Nigerians. It is disturbing, and this is the point where the government will need to be sincere and intentional about dealing with this problem that if we don't handle well, it could just be us sitting on the keg of gunpowder, and the consequences of sin. My name is Oᴑyẹmí Akíndé. Thank you very much, Barrister Adams Atta, for stopping by at the show today. And the program continues tomorrow, same time, same station, 4 to 5:30 p.m. mainland 98.3 FM. But that would be with Sage Babalola, because by 1 o'clock tomorrow, I would be here for midweek politics. It's going to be an amazing time on radio. 5:30, the news would come up, and by 6 o'clock, I would be back as the host with the most on Sports Cruise. Keep your dial locked only on mainland 98.3 FM. Bye for now.